Strasbourg. It's a quiet morning in the half-timbered village turned European capital city. But there's not much time to linger, because thunderstorms are threatening and I have a date with the forest just outside of nearby Saverne, where the ancient Celts roamed in the Vosges Mountains and castle ruins stand tall, like Château du Haut-Barr, otherwise known as the Eye of Alsace, with its not at all ominously named Devil's Bridge. Good morning, sports fans. We have ourselves a relatively empty platform this morning here in Strasbourg because the weather threat of rain basically the entire day, but did some heavy studying of the radar, and it looks like where I'm going to be heading out, Saverne, it's about, depending on what kind of train you get, 25 to 44 minutes outside of town into the nature, into a nearby natural park. I don't know if it's a national park. And based on my amateur study of the radar, it looks like it'll be just outside the worst of it. But of course, now that I said that, Zeus is going to attack me himself. But yeah, about to hop on the train in about 10 minutes and get this 2-hour, 45-minute, 26-kilometer run in for one of my last long runs before running to North Macedonia. I've got the wagon all to myself for this 44-minute ride out to Saverne, which is the only reason I feel comfortable doing my warm-up while whisking through the countryside. All right, here in Saverne, gonna get going. No rain so far. After a couple of kilometers, we've reached the forest. This kind of misty green forest with bouncy, runnable trails is my absolute happy place. Give me that over schlepping up a mountain any day of the week. It's not long before I approach the foot of our aforementioned castle known by some as the Eye of Alsace, a nickname earned thanks to its strategic location with commanding views over the Alsace plains. On a clear day, you can see as far as Strasbourg or even the Black Forest in Germany over 30 kilometers away. The extensive visibility gave the castle its eye reputation because it acted as a lookout for potential threats or movements across the region. You know, if the movies taught me anything, it's that people were awfully stabby back in the Middle Ages, so keeping an eye out for unannounced armies was pretty essential for survival. Even if you managed to get up here, you still had the terrain to deal with. The castle was built on a promontory, which necessitated the creation of this narrow footbridge known as Devil's Bridge. Legend has it that the devil himself built the bridge, connecting two sections of the castle, so locals believed it was actually bad luck to cross it. Information I would have loved to have before I did it. Getting close to about halfway on this trail I made up, and really loving it thus far. Lucking out with the rain, just the occasional drizzle now and again, but I like that, and obviously that's how all this stuff gets to be so lush and green. I'm a fan. But looks like I'm just about done with the main climbing. I'll be kind of coasting downhill for a bit, and there's one final big climb at the end. Yeah, highly recommend if you're coming out to Strasbourg or Colmar, Alsace, definitely take the train out. Just 20-40 minutes, And this is right here. You're in the thick of it. Oh, yeah. Just pausing for a second at the top of, I think, one of my last climbs. You can't really see a whole lot because it's foggy as all get out, but I mean, you can still see around behind me. I mean, look at that. Isn't that just stupid gorgeous? And I got here by train. And as an American, this still blows me away that I can live in Berlin, take the train to Barcelona, up the Col d'Estarac, live there for a month, and stop in Colmar, Alsace, Strasbourg on the way back home to Berlin, take a train out to the countryside, do this trail run, hop on the train at another spot, or just get back on after finishing a loop, and have all this right at my back door. Don't need a car, don't need anything other than a train ticket. Cost me 11 euro to come out here, which seems a little pricey for the short ride on a regional train that, quite frankly, nobody was on early this morning. But still, you know, it's still a lot more affordable than in the US, where most people to have access to nature would need to spend money on a car, and you know, roughly that's gas, upkeep, all this stuff. It's about, they estimate, like about $10,000 a year. I am not spending that on my trail running train journey. So one can always find things to complain about, but in the grand scheme, as I always say, it could be much, much worse. Running around here, it's easy to see why the ancient Celts selected the nooks and crannies of these trees as their place of reverence and retreat. In fact, had I done my research beforehand, I would have stretched the run further south to Mount Donon, a sacred Celtic mountain with the remains of an ancient temple largely reconstructed by the Romans. Instead, I kept on course. Alright, got just about 2 kilometers to go. I'm on something that's kind of like a mixed use road, trail. So I think this is a good time to do a little wrap up, a little recap of the trail. I loved it. I mean, man, if I were fluent in French, it would be hard to keep me from moving here, because holy hell. Between Colmar and Strasbourg, this is a place. And this was my kind of trail where you can do the hard climbs, you can do repeats if you're training for something, or you can just take the climbs as they come, and otherwise just enjoy that flowing single track wooded trail. I'm a fan. This impromptu stop in Alsace came at the tail end of our month in Spain back in May. And if you're not new here, then you already know that I've released a bunch of films covering that time period. There's my run across Barcelona's Collserola Natural Park, my 3 days hiking and trail running around Montserrat, a look at how vegans survive in the land of jamón, and of course, my documentary on the Kalima co-living and co-working cafe that made all of these little excursions possible. So if you enjoyed this little dalliance around Alsace, then go watch this playlist with all of the videos from our month in Spain.